Being a fan of the Castlevania series since its inaugural entry for the NES back in 1987, I can't help but feel bad for the minority of gamers who have yet to experience any of the many fantastic titles within Konami's heralded horror franchise. More often than not, this was simply due to players not owning one of Nintendo's several home consoles, where several options were available to take on Dracula and his minions. Back in '93, when Konami was very much on top of their game, they released an exclusive Castlevania adventure for the Sharp X68000, simply titled Akumajo Dracula. Never released in North America, this Castlevania adventure is a retelling of the original tale, borrowing many elements from prior games within the series. It was finally unveiled to American audiences for the PlayStation in 2001, rebranded as Castlevania Chronicles. The disc includes the original Akumajo Dracula in addition to a remastered version where the soundtrack has been remixed. A new intro scene has been added, along with a revamped Simon Belmont sprite. This version of Simon is designed by Ayami Kojima, who would remain on the series as the character designer for multiple entries over the years. While I feel the original game looks fantastic for a 1993 title, I agree that the Simon sprite had to be updated. I'm sorry, but that orange and brown thing is an absolute eyesore. The game is a traditional Castlevania adventure akin to the likes of the original, not to mention Rondo of Blood and Castlevania 4. Chronicles consist of 8 straightforward stages, each concluding with one of Dracula's main henchmen. We've all heard this story before, right? Stage 1 is basically a retelling of the inaugural game's first level, borrowing stage layouts, the end boss, and naturally, the music, which is fantastic by the original or even the remixed version's standards. Come on, don't act so surprised. A Castlevania game without excellent music is like, well, a Castlevania game without excellent music. I knew there was a reason I liked you, Wes. It's not long before the training wheels are abandoned, and you're thrown into full-on Castlevania veteran mode. The game's difficulty increases significantly after that opening stage. New enemies and patterns have to be learned, and stage hazards are aplenty. When riding upwards on a raft, which falls apart as it goes, all the while dodging smelly fishmen, it only takes one hit to knock you off of the platform. If you've played Castlevania, you know all too well what that's all about. Thankfully, with the option to save your progress upon meeting game over, you can restart at the beginning of your current stage. This is definitely a lifesaver, because this game is a hell of a challenge. Chronicles takes full advantage of the Castlevania tropes that were already well established back in '93, tossing them into a blender, and well, this is the result. Wielding your whip in multiple directions takes a page from Castlevania 4's repertoire, but since up and attack are used to toss sub-weapons like in the NES originals, the ability to lash your whip above you is non-existent. And yes, all of our favorites return, such as the Holy Water and Cross. This game even includes a Laurel, which will replenish a small amount of health in exchange for 10 hearts. Damn, how awesome would this item have been in other Castlevania adventures? All the Laurel was good for in Simon's quest was avoiding damage in the Blood Red Lakes. Many of the stage layouts are directly from other games, such as Castlevania 4, along with the Grim Reaper stage from the initial entry, and even this werewolf boss from Rondo of Blood. And what's a Castlevania game without a clock tower, right? And of course, the soundtrack is just endless nods to old Castlevania classics, with the exception of a track or two. While I thought redoing Castlevania classics on Castlevania 3 and 4 were really cool, my desire to hear brand new original tracks on Castlevania games is a lot stronger than my desire to, yet again, hear classics on every subsequent Castlevania release. It got old kinda quick. But with that being said, the music on the Sharp X68000 sounds fantastic, and if more modern sounding arrangements are what you crave, then the remastered version is the one you'll want to spend most of your time with. These remixes straight up rock, such as this tune with its funky Billy Gould-esque bass line. And this track right here is one of the best renditions of the theme of Simon Belmont that I've ever heard. And if I can interject my own suggestion apart from Wes's, I'd recommend the tracks Thrashered in the Cave and You Goddamn Bathead. Yes, that's actually the name of the song. Crunchy Castlevania flavored tunes that are recommended in their original sound font, as the remixes just don't do them justice. But the main reason to play the newer arranged version is simply because it is much more forgiving. While still a challenge, the original Akumajo Dracula is a sadomasochist wet dream come true. It's goddamn brutal. The enemies take more damage to destroy and inflict even more damage on you. And with the tired and old outdated mechanic of pressing up and B to throw sub-weapons, close combat near stairways is far more frustrating than it should be. The sub-weapon should have been unquestionably remapped to its own button. Let's face it, up and B became obsolete ages ago. The game is tough enough without artificial difficulty. But despite how cruel the game can be at times, it is considerably short and shouldn't take long at all to finish. Not too many extras once you finish this one, other than a time attack mode. I mean, there's a reason that this game was $20 brand new when it was released, which is kind of ironic considering how much the game goes for these days. Ouch! I can't recommend it for that price, but what about a $6 download on the PS3? Damn straight. Nab it. If you're a hardcore Castlevania fan, you most likely already have this one in your library. But if you're only a casual vampire hunter with only a mild curiosity to dive into another classic-styled Castlevania entry, I can't recommend the cheaper alternative enough. Thanks to Wes for allowing me to step in and help him out with voicing this one. If you want to check out more of Wes's channel, check out the video on the left-hand side. And if you're interested in my channel, check out a Castlevania video that I did on the right. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned to Wes's channel for more.